Hi, everybody. We are live on Facebook, I think, hopefully. Uh, I am so thrilled today to introduce to you to my special guest artist. But before we do, I think I'm going to say this at the beginning of the show and again at the end. I have a few thank yous. I have to thank the groovy, wonderful people at Smoke and Sled Dog Records for helping me promote this and keep it going and keeping the energy going and for their creative juices. So I've got to thank Jamie Sue Seal, thank you, my darling, and Susan O'Rourke, thank you. You are both forces of nature, and I so appreciate you. And I also want to tell you that my next guest on February 15th is Joshua Davis. Now, you, especially you all from Michigan, are going to remember him because Michigan was rooting for him as a finalist in the eighth season of The Voice. He is a great talent, like folk rock, fantastic guitarist and singer and educator. So I hope you can join us. Okay, now without further ado, on this almost sunny day, snowy for sure, got to get out and do some cross-country skiing. I am so thrilled to welcome the fabulous, and I call her Groovalacious, and she certainly is, Gayelynn McKinney. Hi, Gayelynn, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I am so pleased you're here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. It's been a long time since we have hung and played and made some music together too.
I hate to say this, but I venture to say that the last time we actually performed together was with the late great Alan Burns.
Aw.
Yeah, that was probably the last time we played together.
For
Yeah.
those of you that don't know, Alan Barnes is, well, sort of legendary in Detroit.
Yes. 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 He played with the Blackbirds.
Blackbirds.
Yeah.
Walking in rhythm. Wasn't that?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
uh, uh.
yeah, yeah, he sure did. He was a part of that band. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We
I think
played together. Sorry, go ahead.
he was co-writer on a lot of things, co-writer on a lot of things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really a lovely, wonderful man. It was so shocking when he passed away, really. Whoops.
Yeah. Whoops, let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah, I had to do that too. I've learned the hard way. So while she's doing that, we played in a group called the Peaceful Warriors, and
Right.
we really were promoting and how we were doing a lot of tunes from what is that? I've forgotten the words. When they
Uh,
used to go and play for the troops.
oh, well, that's that's
Hey,
that's what we did. We played-
yeah, and and we honored the veterans. Really, it was kind of
Yeah,
it was a
it
really
was
cool
really
project.
cool. Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah, we did a history of some musical vets, vets that were actually musicians that contributed to the music community, and that whole series that we were doing with Rodney and Alan Barnes was kind of uh, showcasing a lot of the musicians that were also vets. Yeah.
Exactly. It was Rodney Brown's project. It was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Rodney
And then,
Brown.
then before that, when I had started the Sisters in Jazz project, we did some concerts there, and I had
That's
straight ahead
right.
come up and play at Michigan State a couple times and
Right.
spread the
That's right.
word.
That was nice. That was
Yeah.
nice. It was
Well,
nice. That whole series was cool. It was, it's kind of intermingling with a lot of the young women jazz players that were playing at the time at Michigan State. Of course, now they're all graduated and doing their thing now.
and
Yeah.
when we did that project, there was a young Detroit drummer named Karen Tamales, and now she's part of the scene. Did you mentor her for us?
I,
Were you?
I I did not. You know who mentored her? Excuse me. Was Spider Webb.
Oh,
I mean, I'm sorry, not Spiders. Pistol Allen
oh,
mentored.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Pistol Allen. He mentored her.
Yeah.
Yep. So she was just, I was just happy that she was a young female on the scene playing drums.
I know. Absolutely.
I'm always glad to see other women drummers. I don't have I don't have any intimidation feelings about seeing other women play. I am just thrilled to see other women play drums because it was just so rare when I was growing up, you know. So it's just thrilling to see, you know, that the instrument has broken the tradition of just being a male instrument and, you know, welcoming all these female drummers into the scene now.
Isn't that great?
Hmm.
I mean, doing a little bit of reading about that, it was in a lot of cultures, a woman playing drums was taboo and forbidden. Right.
Yeah. And actually, that in some of those cultures, like I think in Cuba, might have been one of those cultures that didn't allow women to play. They've actually started breaking that tradition there too. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. And right there at the forefront, my darling, are you.
Oh, yeah, thank
Hey, oh,
you.
I have to say, usually I start off with a few quotes, and may I do that? Because
Oh,
I just
by all
think this
means.
one is so lovely. Downbeat describes her, Gayelynn, this way. Gayelynn McKinney is known for going off the grid with her innovative improvisation that uses the entire drum kit with very creative rhythmic ideas. I love that, and it's so true. But my
Oh,
favorite thing, and this isn't exactly a quote, but it's kind of an opening for some conversation. Someone interviewing her said, looking back on her career, Gayelynn has some special impressions. Her greatest moment, and I'm interjecting, other than performing with Ella and Sarah and being the last touring drummer with Aretha Franklin, that's my interjection.
yeah.
But opening for Nina Simone in front of 2,000 people at the Montreux Jazz Festival was straight ahead when she was 22 years old.
Yes, that was quite the shock. Well, you know, we weren't expecting to do that actually, because we were on just a nice exchange program because you know I know you remember that. Of course you do. That Montreux Jazz Festival was also called in Detroit Montreux Detroit Jazz Festival, and
Yes.
that was because they were actually the sister festival to the Montreux Festival in Switzerland. I'm not sure how that happened, how we ended up kind of pairing with the festival in Switzerland, but what came out of that was an exchange program. So we went as an exchange. We went to Switzerland to do their festival, and somebody from Switzerland, a group from Switzerland, came to Detroit to do our festival, and that's how that happened. So we were expecting to just, you know, do some club dates during the festival in Switzerland, and so Regina and Marion and Alina and I and Cynthia Dewberry, we were minding our business, rehearsing in this part of this hotel that was, you know, cleared out when and nobody was there. And so we were in this room inside this hotel practicing. And when we got done, uh, we came out, and to this day we don't know who the person was that I guess told the head of the festival, who was Claude Knobs at the time, that obviously we must have made an impression on them. And so they told Claude about it. And next thing you know, Claude is telling us, "Oh, okay, so you're going to open up for Nina Simone." And we were looking at him like, what? Yes. So we all, you know, we looked at each other like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So, so it was a great moment, and it was also, speaking for myself, I became very nervous. Like, oh my God, we're getting ready to open up for Nina Simone. So the day of that concert, when we when we got to the show, uh, he introduced us and the curtain opened and we were standing there in these really hilarious outfits. I, I do have a DVD of that, which I will have to share one day.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
I will just tell you that that was during the Madonna era, so that's all I'm gonna say.
Oh God, that's funny.
So I'm gonna tell you, it was during the Madonna era. So anyway, we have all these interesting costumes, and so when he introduced us, there was silence. They were all staring at us, and they weren't sitting. They were all standing. There were no seats. They were all standing and staring at us. And my thought was, they were thinking, who are these people? Who are these girls? We don't, who are they? We've never heard of them. We've never seen them before. Who are they? That's how they were looking at us. So, we just said, okay, well, let's do this. So we counted off that first tune and played like our lives depended on it. And when we got done, we hit that last note, and it was like a 1 second pause, and then all of a sudden they erupted, stomping and clapping and screaming. Ah! I mean, they were so loud. It was thunderous how loud they were screaming. And Claude Knobs came out and was trying to talk, and he could not talk for 5 minutes. And finally he got them to calm down and let them know that we were going to be also playing later at these clubs. But I'm telling you, he's like, we got to get along with this show, we got, it was amazing. It was the most amazing feeling to see a people appreciate us like that. So yeah, it was quite the experience.
And especially being so young, you were babies, right?
Yeah, yeah, we were young whippersnappers.
Whippersnapper. And did you guys start playing together at Oakland University? Is that how you came about?
Well, actually, no, I was going to Oakland University, and Mickey Braden, I don't know if you remember a singer named Mickey Braden that was in
I
the
don't think
scene.
so.
She's a phenomenal vocalist, and she was living in Detroit at the time. She now lives in on the East Coast, but at the time she was living in Detroit, and she got a call to do a gig at Burt's when it was on Jefferson, and she couldn't. I guess all the guy musicians were busy, and it was a horrible night for a club day too. It was a Monday night, which is horrible for a club day. But so she was trying to get a band and couldn't get one, so she called Marion and Alina and I and said, "Hey, you think you can do this gig at Burt's? It's on Monday nights." And when she called me, I was excited. I was like, because I had heard about Marion. I had not met her yet, but I had heard about her being a woman playing bass, and I was really excited. I said, "Ooh, I hope I get to play with her one day." Well, that day came when she told me, asked me did I want to join Marion and Alina to do this gig on Monday nights at Burt's. And I said, "Oh, wow." I said, "Yeah, Marion is playing?" I said, "Oh, yes, definitely. I've been wanting to play with her. So, yeah, I would love to do that gig." And Alina, I actually knew because my mother, who was also a vocalist, had hired her to play some gigs, and I had played with her with my mother. So I already knew Alina. So it was a exciting prospect to be playing with two other women in the band and a woman on vocals. And so it's all female band. So I was excited about that. So we started our little gig at Burt's, and it was the first the first night we played. I remember now it's a Monday. So the first night we played, I think there was maybe 5 people in there, maybe less.
That's great.
And
Lots
so,
of energy.
it was so we were like, "Ooh, this is rough right here." But then I guess those 5 people must have spread the word that there was this all-female group playing at Burt's. And so every Monday there was a little more people coming, and I guess those people would tell other people. So by the time we got to the end of the first month, maybe going into the second month, there was a line going outside the door at Burt's coming to see us. So
Fantastic.
yes, they were just, I guess, the curiosity. Let's see these all female playing jazz. We want to see that. So they started coming in droves after that, and we never had our houses were full from that point on.
Well, and you guys are still playing together.
Oh yes, yeah.
right?
You know, we're gonna always be doing that. No matter what else we're doing, we're gonna always, you know, those are my sisters in music, and we will always be playing together for some at some point. Yeah.
One thing I noticed when I was doing the mentoring project for young women in jazz, sisters in jazz,
Yeah, sisters in jazz. Yeah.
and when I played with all women, it's not, there's certainly no difference in ability level, but there's a
Right.
difference in the form of communication. It's a lot more open and lovely and warm and kind of intuitive, you know.
Yes.
I
Yes.
really noticed that, and it's such a welcoming environment.
It is. It is. You know, collaborating with Straight Ahead during our before our Atlantic days, it was so much fun. It was just so organic, and you know, it was just, and even still, when we collaborate now, it's the same kind of thing. We each have our little input, and it's not like the rehearsals in when I was growing up at home when Marcus and Dad and Wendell would be in the basement, and all of a sudden the whole house would erupt because Marcus and Dad and everybody was hollering at each other. No, man, that's not it. You do that.
Yeah, and I remember growing, coming to LA and cutting my teeth there, right?
Yeah,
I mean, not that you don't have something to prove, you do have something to prove, but it was a little more badass, like, okay, show us what you got. Sometimes it was like, okay, now you got to prove yourself.
yep, yep, yep.
It's just an interesting difference.
Yeah, yeah. It
So
was. It definitely was a stark contrast in the way we collaborated than the way my father and Marcus and them collaborated.
before we get into your amazing family history, I want to make sure I play at least pieces of three of your tunes from your new record.
Sure, sure.
So while I'm setting this up, would you tell us about your new record that you released this year, right?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Wow, during COVID, you got to tell us how that is.
Well, I was actually supposed to release it in 29 wait a minute. Yeah, 2019, end of 2019, the beginning of 2020 was when I was going to release it. And well, needless to say, that was like
Right.
so then I was going to release it in October. Uh, yeah, that's how it was going. It was supposed to be released in 19. Then I was going to release it in October, and then I was advised that I should let's just wait until 2021. And after thinking and talking to a couple of people, I said, yeah, that's probably a good idea. Let's just get out of 2020. And so I decided to release it in 21. So just brand new, just a few weeks ago. Yeah.
A big, beautiful ray of sunshine and funk. Oh my
Oh
God,
yeah.
it is
Yeah.
fabulous.
I've
And
always written on I've always written on the funkier side of jazz, which is opposite. Well, my dad wrote on the funkier side too, but he mostly dealt in swing, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you write all the pieces on the record?
Not all of them. Actually, I did rearrangements, two covers. I did two cover tunes, which I rearranged, which was one was "Lovely Day" by, of course, the late Bill Withers. I did a arrangement on that, and then I did an arrangement of "My Love Is Deeper" by Jill Scott, and it was her version. Of course, was the neo soul classic, and I just decided to swing it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this is it's I love this track, man. It's fantastic. It's called Gwendolyn
Oh.
from Zoot. Is it Zoot Suit Funk Masters or Zoot Suit Funk?
Oh, actually, no. Those I sent with that. What I did was I sent you the masters. Is what I did.
Well, you are both, my dear. Okay, so this is Gwendolyn from Zoot Suit Funk.
That's dedicated to my mother.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
I hate
indeed.
to stop it.
Yeah, that's mommy. Her name is Gwendolyn, and she the song when it came to me first, that quirky little beat came to me, and uh, and then the melody was kind of smooth, and it reminded me of my mother because my mother, the funky little beat was the sassy side of her, and then the vocal part was the smooth, the smooth sweet side. And like I said, she was a vocalist too. So my thought was, because I wrote the song while she was still living, and I played the computer generated version for her, and she really liked it. And originally, I was gonna have her sing the part that I'm singing, and have her sing that part, but um, I didn't get it done in a timely matter. So unfortunately, she never got to even hear the live version of it. She only just heard the computer version. But I was glad I finally got it done and was able to finally record it. Yeah,
What a beautiful tribute.
yeah.
Is that you singing the high part too?
Yes. I'm singing the whole thing with the saxophone. Yeah.
Well, when I realized that your mama was a singer, and it says that she was a theater singer. What does that mean? Was it music theater, or was it
Well,
like in?
actually, she was actually singing opera too. She sang opera, and she also sang productions like Carmen and Porgy and Bess and those
Wow.
kinds of productions. Yeah, she had her voice was angelic, boy. She had a beautiful voice. And that matter of fact, you can hear that voice. There's a video that's been circulating quite a bit of my father and mother singing Freedom Jazz Dance, um, which is in black and white, and it was a clip from Detroit Black Journal, 1960, I want to say 7, and she's singing, and she hates it because she also sang on Dad's that version of Freedom Jazz Dance on his record, and she always hated it because she said, "Oh, it sounds so operatic." I said, "Mom, that's so cool. It sounds great. That's what makes it so cool." Uh, but yeah, so she had just kind of just started getting into jazz when she met my dad. So, yeah, she just did not like it. I said, "Oh, Mom, it's great. It really sounds great. It makes it different and unique."
Oh, I love that.
So
Would you
yeah,
send me the link to that? I would love to hear that.
I would love to. I'll send that to you. It's really cool. Matter of fact, joining him in that video was Ike Daney, Marcus Belgrave, Donald Walden. I'm not sure who was on bass. I couldn't see the bass player that well in that video, but yeah, it's a pretty cool video.
I think this is a perfect time to go into what what this book. I'm going to do some shameless promotion for Mark Stryker.
Oh
This is
yeah!
a great
Ooh,
book,
look at that
right?
book.
I don't
Yeah,
know if you can read it, but it's called Jazz from Detroit
yeah, that's
by the
nice.
wonderful journalist and writer Mark Stryker. And I
Yeah.
got a lot of information about your family from this book, and
Hmm.
he writes so beautifully. And a lot of stuff I knew about Detroit, but it was kind of but even the peripheral reading that I've done, I've learned so much.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get that book. I gotta get that book.
Yeah, it's really really good. So as an introduction, Galen's daddy uh, and his family, Harold McKinney, Galen's dad, played piano, and
Hmm.
he played with so many people. I'll let you say. I'll just say a few. He played with Billie Holiday and Coltrane and Wes Montgomery and Sarah Vaughan, and then Ray was the bass player, and Bernard is it Bernard or Bernard?
Yeah, Bernard. And actually, he changes his name. He doesn't like hearing that name anymore. He changed his name years ago to Kiani Zawadi is what his name is now. But
Okay,
Bernard is the euphonium player. Yeah,
yeah, euphonium player, and
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 trombone
then and then what? Trombone?
and trombone. Yeah.
Oh wow, and their nephew Carlos is a pianist and a Grammy Award-winning producer, and then Gayelynn, it's just a big legacy in Detroit. And uh, I don't want to do the talking, but I get so excited. Will you tell us about, Kenny Burrell and the Four Sharps and the Detroit Artist Workshop and especially Tribe? Man, that is so cool.
Yeah, growing up with in the house with dad was it was such a musical experience, especially during the tribe days. I for years did not know that tribe was such a big force in the musical world. Um, I didn't really learn that until a little bit later, and in learning that, I also learned that it was a black owned business as I was learning about tribe, which made me feel exceptionally proud. I felt really proud to know that this was a business that was being run by black folk, because that was kind of unheard of in the 70s. And that the leader of that tribe was Wendell Harrison, and uh, he managed to pull together my father, Marcus, Phil Randlin, Doug Hammond, drummer Doug Hammond, and they started producing records under the Tribe label. And Dad's record was Voices and Rhythms of the Creative Profile. Marcus produced the record, oh shoot, Gemini, that's what it was called, Gemini. Wendell produced records under there. And not only did they produce records, but they actually had a magazine that went out all over talking not just about music, but about the political climate of that time, which is almost some of the same stuff, unfortunately, that we're going through now. But yeah, it was a great thing. And ironically, Tribe has had a resurgence overseas with people being fascinated with the the whole concept of the records and the magazines. So they've been actually relicensing stuff overseas from the Tribe label. So um, it was just a fascinating time to be a part to witness all of that was going on and being in the studios and watching them do the recordings and stuff. And ironically, it was a real full circle moment when I did McKinney The New Beginning back in 2018. One of the songs that I did actually pulled together those same guys that I had been watching at 11 years old make Dad's record, and it just felt so surreal. Like, wow, I've come full circle. I'm at 11 watching them do a CD, do a record, and now here I am doing Dad's music with these guys, and I'm not watching anymore. I'm playing with them. So it was kind of a real surreal moment when I was doing that. But yeah, so Tribe was quite the legacy, and that legacy showed me watching my mother and father do their business end of Tribe. It taught me about the business as well. Yeah, so yeah, and
Uh,
so
yeah, it's such a legacy. And reading about, I knew about Tribe, the musical organization, but I really didn't know about the magazine, which
mhm,
was social activism and really political and kind of needed at the time, right? It
yeah,
seemed so powerful.
it
Uh,
was. It was.
so where I just want to talk to you about McKinney, The New Beginning.
Mhm.
What did they play on all the tracks of that? Your dad?
No, they
Just
played on Conjure Man is what they played on.
Conjure Man.
Conjure Man. It was actually, and Ralph Armstrong was on bass on that track. And you know who else was on that track? Was a beautiful young man whose birthday is actually 3 days after my father's. And I continue to send prayers for him. It was Glenn Tucker. He was on piano on that track. And the one thing that I loved about him, here's a little story about Glenn. um, I was doing a rehearsal with McKinney Zone, which not this configuration of Zone. It was a different configuration, which had my aunt in it, my auntie Carol, which is my father's sister, and Glenn was on piano, And he played something, and he did this run, and I looked over at my aunt, and she was in tears. And I said, Auntie Carol. And I knew why she was crying. I said, I know, Auntie Carol. I know. I said, you all right? And then I started crying a little bit because he played this run that sounded exactly like my father. And it just hit a nerve in my aunt and I. And because obviously he had done some studying of him, and
Yeah.
it was just fantastic. And so he's a brilliant young pianist, and I'm praying that we will see him back on the piano again in the near future. But he was playing on that Conjure Man cut along with Marcus Belgrave, Wendell Harrison,
Wow.
Edward Gooch, and Ralph Armstrong on bass.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
it was fun watching them too because it took me back to those days when they were in the basement practicing with Dad. Because Marcus was playing. Some, of course, now they're older, so they're a lot more mellow. so,
That
so,
is the truth.
so they were playing. They were playing. Marcus was playing a line, and Wendell says, no, no, man, that's not right." And Marcus said, "Oh yeah, yeah." And Wendell said, "No, no, yeah, it's a little different." He said, Marcus said, "Oh, okay, but let me move this stand a little closer." So he moved it a little closer, and he played it, and it was correct. And Wendell was like, "Yeah, man, yeah, that's it."
That's hysterical. Now, did you record Freedom Jazz Dance to be a tribute to your mom and dad for the recording that they did?
I, 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 that wasn't the thought I had in mind. Although that's part of it. The real reason why decided to redo it, is because I really enjoyed. And matter of fact, I did not really do an arrangement on that one. A lot of the other ones I had done arrangements on, but that one I left alone because um, I also read somewhere that Dad's version arrangement of this Freedom Jazz Dance was one of this particular writer's mind was one of the best ones he had heard, and so I decided to pay tribute to that, and which is why I redid that Freedom Jazz Dance.
It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
That was great. I
yeah.
also, I've got to tell you, you folks are going to have to go and listen and buy this record. But one thing that choked me up is the way you started this record.
Oh,
The introduction is Gayelynn with her daddy when she's a little girl and she's kind of spinning a yarn. And so you really get the spirit of Harold McKinney when he's dealing with his daughter. He's got humor and this deep, beautiful, gorgeous voice, and he's just teaching you in these gentle, it's such a sweet moment.
yeah, it was, and it's funny. I remember that day like it was yesterday. It started out, it started out as the truth. I was telling an actual truth, and then it morphed somehow. You know, your little kid, it morphed into this story, which I had morphed it into my truth, which was a lie, but it was my truth. And he said, that's when he started looking at me out the corner of his eye, and he's like, so is this the truth? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Daddy.
No, doggone well that was not the second half of that story was not true, but he was sweet about it, and he was like, he tried. It was a teaching moment for me because if you can tell this, you can tell it as a story, or if you tell it as a if you tell it as a story, it's not a lie. So
There you go.
he was giving me he was giving me a lesson in truth.
He was. Okay, so now this is your choice because I want to make sure I get to play snippets of three of your pieces. Would you like me to play that little intro, or at least part of it, with your daddy?
Oh,
Or or would you like me to play Peaceful Place? Because I gotta play Space Goddess at the end.
oh. um, well, you know what? I'm gonna leave that up to you. Which one would you like to play?
Oh man, that's not fair. Okay. Well, since we've been talking about it, let me pull up, where the heck is it? Let me pull it up and see if I can find. Oh, you know what? It's going to have to be Peaceful Place because somehow I just got rid of it and I'll have to go
Oh,
hunt it up.
well, that
But
means you just have to go buy the record.
that's right. You all have to go buy the record and hear this sweet moment. And oh, who's singing on that record? I couldn't find who the personnel were.
Okay, so on Freedom Jazz Dance, it's actually the verse was sung by me, and the scat solo was done by Kevin Mahogany.
Of course, I thought it was. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then on White and Blue and Nostalgia, which my second mother wrote um, lyrics to White and Blue. So for those of you don't for those of you who don't know my second mother, that would be Michelle McKinney. She wrote the lyrics to White and Blue and sang it. And
Oh,
then
lovely.
Buddy Butson did a beautiful arrangement on Nostalgia because Nostalgia was just a piano piece. It didn't have he did it was no there was no band arrangement for it. So Buddy Butson did a really beautiful band arrangement on Nostalgia, and that was Michelle singing that as well. And then the lady I was speaking to you about earlier, Mickey Brayton, she was singing on Night Blues.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Well, without further ado, this is Peaceful Place. At least a little bit of it. You're going to have to go buy the whole record.
Yes, this is on Zoot Suit Funk, the current CD.
Sorry for that abruptness. I always really hate to stop them.
So I got to tell you, Raphael Staton, he's a multi reeds specialist. He played on this CD. He played tenor sax, alto sax, soprano sax, bass clarinet, and on Peaceful Place he was playing bass flute.
Oh, it's a
I
gorgeous bass flute. What, no trombone? He doesn't play trombone?
know, right? Yeah, and the other, I should tell you, the other fabulous musicians on there is Ibrahim Jones on bass, Alex Anist on guitar, um, Trinita Womack, who if you saw Standing in the Shadows of Motown, you would see Trinita on percussion playing with the Funk Brothers. She was playing percussion on CD, and Demetrius Neighbors, a wonderful pianist, uh, played on the CD as well. And he actually has solo stuff out that you guys should check out too. Um, so he was on piano, and I think I got everybody. Yeah, I think that was everybody.
Well, it's a great record. And boy, you and Ibrahim,
Yeah, that's my rhythm brother. Marion Hayden is my rhythm sister, and
oh, yes.
my rhythm brother.
Yeah, it just locks up so great. And your time is so great, Gaylen.
Oh, thank you.
Is that something that has always been your gift, or have you, I mean, raised in the family you were, or did you work hard at getting your time to be that pocketed?
I had to work at it, believe me.
Yeah.
That's just like, when I'm teaching my students, I'm like, get that metronome out.
Right.
And I had to learn too how to relax too. And I'm gonna tell you something also that got me into a more pocketed type of playing. Well, two things. One was when I was playing with speech from Arrested Development. That's when I was living in Atlanta. And Arrested Development was this really hot rap group that was out in the '90s, and they made this was it 9 days in the 90 days in the life of something is what it was called. But they were hot in the '90s, and they made this song called Tennessee and Mr. Wendell. It's a really great CD. And anyway, little did I know that I would end up playing with them. But I remember the bass player who recruited me into that group. Tending to sit on top of the beat because I play jazz. So, jazz is
And
kind
you're
of,
from Detroit.
yeah, yeah. So, jazz is kind of on the upside of the beat, and and the up is in the E's and the I's. And he's like, no, just sit on it, just sit and sit back like you sit in the easy chair. And so it was a great exchange because I taught him how to sit on the E's and the N's of jazz, and he taught me how to sit back on the beat. And the other person who got me, when I started playing with Aretha, that got me sitting in the pocket a lot too. And the other part of that is just working with a metronome. You just have to work with a metronome. It teaches you how to relax uh, when you're playing it when you work with a metronome. Yeah.
It's funny how even when you're swinging with a metronome and you put that metronome on two and four,
Hmm.
and if it starts to relax and you start to feel it, it's like the metronome disappears, which
Yeah.
always is magic to me. It's like,
Yeah.
wow,
That
I
means you're right
must
on.
I must be in the pocket. So, who played bass on Aretha's band when you were touring?
It most of the time it was Ralph Armstrong. And
Oh,
Ralph is the reason why actually I got hired by Aretha because he called her. I mean, she called him and asked him about me, um, because it's funny about Aretha. The first time I met her, I was 17 because of my father, and my my father casually says to me, "Oh yes, sweetheart, we have a gig this weekend." I said, "Oh okay, where's the gig at, Dad?" And he said, "It's at Aretha Franklin's house." I looked at him. I said, "Where?" Aretha Franklin's house. I said, "I didn't know you knew her." He said, "Oh yeah, we go way back." I was like, "What?" And she actually, while I was on tour with her, she confirmed that she just out of the blue, she sent me a text and said that, yeah, your father, he taught me a whole lot of chords uh, back in the day. And I was like, wow, I guess he really did know her because she played a lot of piano too,
oh, I'm not surprised.
she played a lot of piano. One of my best times, one of my favorite songs that I played with her was oh God, it just left my head. Oh shoot, I hate when that happens. Yep, it just left my head. But it's the song that she took a nice piano solo in the middle of it, and I loved playing that song with her. It was always I always enjoyed listening to her jam on that piano solo. But I met her at 17, and then I played with her in 2004 at the Brand New Me. That's what the name of the song is, Brand New Me. Um, but then in 2004, I played with her at the Detroit Jazz Festival, and she was doing two halves of a show. The first half was a jazz half, and so she asked me to. She cut her. Well, at that time, her manager called me, said that she wanted me to play that half of her show, and I don't think she realized at the time that I could play R&B, so she hired me to do the jazz half, and her regular drummer Nate did the R&B half. And I remember that rehearsal for that 2004 show. Uh, we kept messing up the ending of this song, and she said, "Oh," she said. So after about the third time we messed it up, she said, "All right, now." And she went over to the piano and she played it. This is how I wanted to go. And she played it. And then she got done. She said, "Now, y'all not gonna mess it up no more, right?" We was like, "No, ma'am." No, ma'am. We have it now.
Yeah, we got it.
We got it. And we did. We played it correct after that. But yeah, I don't think she knew I played R&B at the time. So when she called Ralph, I think she really just wanted to clarify, if could I handle playing this type of music with her. And he, of course, his lovely self said, "Of course you can. Of course you can. Call her up." And so I'm driving on Ford Road, getting ready to get on the freeway. My phone rings, and I look at it. It said no name, and I said, "I'm not answering that." And then some little birdie in the back of my head said, "Yeah, you should probably answer that."
Yeah.
So I answered it, and the first thing I heard was Gayelynn. Yes, and it sounded like somebody's mother. I was like, "Huh?"
I'm
She
sorry.
She
Yeah.
said, this is Aretha." I said, "Aretha?" And I'm sitting there, "Aretha who?"
Aretha who? There's only one Aretha.
And I'm like, "You shouldn't be calling me, right?" And then she said, "Aretha Franklin." I said, "Oh, okay. Let me just pull over." I'm gonna pull over so I can talk to you. And that's when she started spouting off. Yeah, so you're gonna make a rehearsal at such and such a day, and we're gonna do this song, that song, this song, this. I'm trying to write stuff down, and she said the rehearsal is such and such and such a day. Okay. And thankfully though, her music director called me and called me again so I could get it right, get the information correctly and calmly. So it was and that began my 3 year journey of the last 3 years of her life
Was
performing.
she as lovely as she seems? I mean, of course, she's an incredible singer, but she also seems like a great human being.
To me, she was. I mean, there's, other people have other opinions, but in my opinion, I loved her to death. She was sweet to me. I mean, one day I opened up, there was a knock at my door, and I opened the door, and there was this big basket of flowers and cheese and cranberries, and 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 it was from her. It's from her, and I enjoyed playing with her, and I enjoy getting to know her a little. I wish I had more time with her, to talk to her some more. But the time I had is unforgettable, and I will cherish it always.
Yeah, what a privilege.
And yes, that big bag under her chair was full of money.
It, I can't remember if I have this right, but didn't she, in her will, bequeath a lot of money to an opera company
Now
in,
that I don't know.
in Detroit? Like a small, she really supported the arts and particularly this small opera company, or I may have that wrong. I probably shouldn't say it, but that's kind of what I remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I will say that the fact that she stayed here in Detroit and she did a lot. She did a lot to help here in Detroit. I think she even had at some point she would feed the homeless and do things charitable work like that as well. And then the fact that she always supported Detroit musicians. She could have. I mean, she used California musicians too, but most of the time when she was touring, she had a lot of Detroit musicians in the group.
Yeah.
Um, so I appreciated the fact that she always seemed to that she stayed here and that she always supported Detroit artists.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. There was a bass player, and I can't believe I can't remember his name, but he was touring with Aretha at the time that I was living out there.
Mhm.
He was, oh, he was a great player. Like, of course, obviously, very like funk and R&B and
Mhm.
powerful, but I can't remember his name.
I
Um,
Well, there was several. She had several because I was playing with Ralph, and then at one point I was playing with a guy named Volley. Um, and then there was three other ones that Ralph could probably tell you who they are because I can't remember who they were. But yeah, she had about four bass players, I think, that toured with her at some point of her career. And you know who else toured with her was George Davidson.
oh, that's right. George Davidson toured with her.
Yep. And
Oh, what
that
a
was,
beautiful, beautiful player.
man. Well, he's one of my mentors. I used to sit under his feet when I was 5 years old and just stare at everything he was doing. So it felt kind of ironic and honor to be able to go come behind him and also end up playing with her as well. Yeah,
That
yeah.
well, that sort of reminds me of I want when we were talking about the about Tribe, I read that their last CD that they produced was Mixed Bag's first record. And that, that was Larry Nazzaro and Eddie Russ, who I met and played with Eddie when I lived in California. He was in LA for a while.
Okay.
And then when I moved here, he and George Davidson and Eddie would play at the Bird together
Oh,
with
wow.
with Ron Brooks, right?
Yeah.
And so I played that gig a lot. It was so much fun. And when it's okay because they won't mind, but it always cracked me up because Eddie was like, he played like he was from California. He was on this side of the
He
beat,
was
and
smooth.
George was like over here. So you count off a tune here, uh, 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 and George is like, and Eddie was like, uh. And I'm going, you guys, what the
Musical tug of war.
heck? And, I was still young enough that I thought, is it me? Is it me? Is it my fault? And then I finally figured out, no, it's just like they have completely different concepts of where the middle of the time sits.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's definitely it's funny about the places people come from because California does have that kind of laid back vibe. And and on the East Coast, in the Midwest, we have a little more edgier vibe.
Well, when I moved here, that was the thing that it was just so starkly different. Fusion in LA, kind of cooled out jazz. I mean, it swung, but it swung a little more cool, in a
Hmm.
cool way. And then coming here from the Detroit influence of just like get dum 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 dum, like bang it down. It's like, whoa, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
you know, it was a big learning curve for me.
I can imagine. I can imagine that would be different.
Yeah, it was cool. It's cool to do both, though. I really do like it both.
Yeah, it's just something you add, everything you learn, you just add it to your arsenal.
That's right. Hey, I had to ask you a question, and it was my husband that brought this up. And then, of course, I read in the Mark Stryker book. Are you related to the McKinneys that were the McKinney's cotton pickers? Do you know that?
I have gotten that question so many times, and to my knowledge, it is a different set. I even and I don't know. I got two varying opinions. One opinion was, yeah, that they could have been my great great uh, grandfather, and then the other opinion was no, we're two separate McKinneys. So I'm gonna have to really find out because I get that question a lot.
Yeah, that would be interesting just to fill you in because I am not the best jazz historian in the world, but my husband really knows a lot and he asked right away. So the McKinney cotton pickers in the 20s,
Hmm.
they came from Ohio and then they came and started playing in Detroit and got like 2 month, 2 year gigs and 5 year gigs. And then they kind of became a Detroit band. And then Don Redmond, who was like the really famous arranger and played sax with Fletcher Henderson, came and took over the band. And then apparently it just became during that era, was like one of the most famous bands in the country.
Mm,
Bixby Beiderbecke was really influenced by them, and I thought that was kind of a cool story. But
yeah.
if it's not your legacy, it is sort of because it's a Detroit band, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely dig deeper into that at some point and just make sure that there's no connection between this set of McKinneys and that set of McKinneys. Yeah.
I wonder if Mark Stryker knows anything about that.
Uh, he might. He might. It's definitely possible that he could know. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my dear, I can't believe we've almost done a whole hour yakking away here. I love it. It's been great.
Yeah. It's I appreciate it. It's been fun having these conversations with you and talking about things that have been going on.
Well, before we sign up, oh, you know what? Where have you been teaching?
Oh, okay. So, I teach privately, and then last just before like last October, my alma mater asked me to come and do applied lessons, taking Sean Dobbins' place at Oakland University. So that's where I am doing applied lessons. And that's I want to send that out there to all you young people looking for college to go to for jazz, as well as Michigan State and U of M. Oakland University has a jazz minor now, and if you're interested in being close to home, but not too close, because it's just far enough away where you can be away from home, and just close enough where you can, if you got to get home, you can. Check out Oakland University. Check out Oakland University. They got a nice program going on up there. Marion and Hayden is there, and I am there. Uh, Tim Blackman is up there. Chinello is up there. So check
Nice.
out University. And if you find yourself wanting to do that, inbox me on Facebook, on Messenger, I mean, and I'll give you information.
That's fantastic. You can go study with Gayelynn. That'd be the coolest. Get some more girl drummers out there.
Yeah, girl, and that's the thing that gets me. Every student I have at Oakland, I love my fellas. I love them to death. They're great students. There's not one girl, not one, in my applied teaching. Not one.
Yeah, I
Marion
still don't.
Marion actually had managed to get one girl student, but yeah.
I still can't quite figure that out. I mean, in my opinion, I played the least girl instrument in the band, and that is I played trombone through college.
Nice.
And the reason I say that is because when you play trombone, you have to reach your arm really long, and then you put the spit valve and you blow spit through it, and spit goes all over the floor.
Right.
Oh, how appealing.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Now, of course, it would just be lovely, except I couldn't, it could not go on the floor ever in the house. But then it was, you know, I don't know. It's just an interesting dilemma, or it's an interesting concept why girls don't pick up those instruments.
Yeah, yeah.
Still, to me.
Yeah, it's still rare. Drums actually, girls playing drums though has picked up tremendously.
Great.
Oh man, it's a lot of girls playing drums now. When I was growing up, there was none until my father told me about Terry Lynn Carrington, and
Yeah.
that was about when I was about 10 or 11 years old. He told me about her, which is good because I was actually thinking about quitting because I was
Oh,
I was getting, this young lady told me at the bus stop, and I'm 10 or 11, so it had an effect on me. She's like, drums are for boys. You shouldn't be playing drums. And I didn't even play drums, but I played just like a couple of times in school because I was playing saxophone most of the time from sixth grade to 12th grade in the concert band. So I one time sat down on the drums in elementary school, and that girl lit into me about it, and I felt so bad that I was like, well, maybe I'll just play saxophone. I'll just let the drums go. But thankfully, thanks to Dad telling me about Terry Lynn Carrington, who at 8 years old told me she was playing with Clark Terry. She was the reason why I said, oh, so it is okay for girls to play drums. So that kept me going.
I
Hmm.
love that.
Hmm.
I have to tell you a quick story, and that is I was a guest artist at some university, I can't remember where, but Terry Lynn Carrington was also a guest artist.
Hmm.
We were playing together,
Oh,
and
nice.
I called her, I'll never forget this because I was so embarrassed. I called her Gayelynn.
Oh, stop. Oh, you did. Oh.
I did. And I of course stumbled all over myself and apologized. She thought it was funny, I think, but I
That's really funny. But it's understandable. I mean, Terry Lynn, Gay Lynn, I mean,
that's what I mean. They're so similar in a way, but anyway,
Yeah, she's cool people. I mean, I've kept in touch with her for years
yeah,
now.
yeah, she's a really great gal.
Mhm.
All right, Miss Gaylen, before we say our goodbyes, I'm going to play a little bit of this third tune, which is so funky and groovy. It's called Space Goddess, and it is from your new record.
Mhm. I wrote
And
that in
then
college,
we
but
will say our goodbyes. This is Space Goddess. Ibrahim. Well, all of you beautiful people, I'm going to keep this on in the background because it's so great. Just love it. Thank you so much, Gaylen, for joining us. And please come back on the 15th of February when my special guest artist is going to be Joshua Davis. And we're grateful you're here. See you again soon.
yeah, see you. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.